Okay, today I'm going to show you how to graph hyperbolas. These are the hyperbolas, and this is the ellipse that we did earlier in the week. And you'll notice if I gave you these equations, they look almost identical. The only difference in the equations for an ellipse and a hyperbola is plus or minus. So I kind of think of it this way. If that's a plus, it means the thing comes together. Think of these as two separate curves, and they're coming together to make that oval shape. On hyperbola, because it's minus, they're facing away from each other. And sometimes they'll be like this. We would say that's on the x-axis facing out. Or they might be a curve on the top and bottom, so on the y-axis facing out. Okay, so we're going to use the homework page that I gave you, graphing hyperbolas, and I'm doing these two as notes, and then your homework will be to do those two as well as the ones on the back, and then to answer this. Now, on each of these, you're supposed to tell if it is a parabola, circle, ellipse, hyperbola. We haven't talked about parabolas in a long time, but hopefully you remember, like, this one is your parabola, and you're supposed to explain it. And so, like, you'd say, this is a parabola, and you can tell where the center is. That's all you'd have to say. On the one that's a circle, ellipse, hyperbola, tell me what the center is, and, you know, roughly describe what the shape would look like. Okay, so let's do those couple for notes. Number 8. And I want you to give the center and the vertice. So in addition to graphing it, you're going to name that. So that center would be 3, -1. And then you're going to go ahead and graph that point. Let me get a little closer so you can see. All right, and then just like we were doing with the ellipses, you would square root that and square root that. And that tells you how far out to go, to the left and to the right, and then how far up and how far down. Now, we're not going to connect it like the ellipse did. Instead, we're going to make, it's like our asymptotes, dotted lines connecting this as if it were a box. Okay, so I'm kind of making a box connecting those points. Remember, there's a point here, 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 and I'm just connecting it to the corners like a box. All right, now, can you see how if I was trying to get to the corner of that box, I'd have to go up 3 and over 2, and I'm going to do that again, up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2, just kind of eyeball where that is. Okay, go the other way, 3, 2, 3, 2, and go this way. See, 3, 2. Okay, that takes a little while. I know I went off the graph a little bit there. Because what you're going to be making, remember our asymptotes? Your dotted lines? These are running, basically you're making it the diagonal of the box, but then you have to extend it. And so that's why I counted 3 and 2, 3 and 2. Something like that. Okay, not fabulous. I made this point bad, sorry. Okay, something to that effect. Now, your graph, you have to look at what letter comes first, because on these, it's not always the X that comes first. Okay, so this one is X that comes first, which means our graph is going out on the X-axis, so side to side. So this dot and this dot, those will be your vertices. You're going to make a curve that hugs up against the asymptote and the edge of the box and hits that dot. Okay, so curves out like that. Curves out like that. I like to draw them two separate. Some people can draw them all as one. I usually can't draw it very well like that, but that's not too bad. Okay, and again, I want you to name the vertices on your homework. So that's just these two dots, okay? It is not those dots as well. It's just the two dots that were part of the curve. And you can really just look at the picture, count over. So 5, -1 is one of them. Here, this one is over 1, down 1. And those are your vertices, put a big maybe V, and that way on your paper I can find center, and I can find vertices, and I know the difference between the two. Okay, so these are a little tougher to draw today. If you had a ruler, that would really help, because when you go to draw these dotted lines, again, you're connecting these corners, like making a big diagonal. So if you had a ruler, or even just like the edge of your folder to lay down, that would make it a lot easier. Otherwise, you gotta look like I did from here. It was kind of up 3 over 2, and I just had to keep doing that. But extend it like the whole length of the graph, maybe even bigger. Okay, now we're going to do number 10, again from the homework. I'm going to do this as a notes problem. So I'm still going to find the center. Now notice the x and the y have been switched around, but when